Hey everybody, it's Ann. I'm feeling better. My voice is getting somewhat back to normal. I still squeak a little bit. So, happy second day of Ann Cooks Keto 365 days of video. So today is January the 3rd. January the 3rd. January the 3rd.
Yes.
And let's see, the food we're making tonight is my lovely son. He made chili for him and his brother. But as you know, chili has, as much as I love chili, it's full of beans, which is not very keto. And
So good.
I do make chili. I do have a keto chili that I make that I use mushrooms in instead of beans, which I absolutely love. But I had on my menu that I wanted to make this chili relleno soup. So that's what we're gonna make. So it's the recipe I've used before is called chicken chili relleno. I decided I wanted to try something different, so I'm using ground turkey. It is 99% fat-free. So I had beef for lunch, so I thought I should lighten it up a little bit for dinner. So we're gonna have that. That's gonna go in my big pot, and then I'll get that started. You're gonna, because it's so lean, you're not gonna have to drain the meat, drain any fat off the meat. So when I cook meat for like soups and things and taco meat, I like to put the spices on the raw meat so that when it's cooking, it kind of cooks the spices into the meat too. So that's my, excuse me. That is my strategy for seasoning. So I have my recipe over here on my tablet. I took a recipe I found online, a keto soup recipe, and I modified it some. And then I entered it into MyFitnessPal because I thought it was too heavy in fat. So I think they used cream and more cheese. And I took all the cream out and I added cream cheese. So it still has some of that richness, but not so much fat. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. You can see I just break up the meat and brown it like you would chili. And then we'll add, as it's cooking, I'm gonna add these spices in. So it's pretty basic. So what I have is ground cumin, okay? So I'm gonna do about a teaspoon of ground cumin. You don't have to be exact when it comes to soup. I kind of like it like that actually. And then I'm gonna have, so I have my pepper, and I'm just gonna use, I think this is about 1/4 of a teaspoon. It just stays attached to my little pepper container. So I'm gonna put that in there. You can always adjust, so don't overdo it at the beginning. You can, stay kind of conservative, and then you can, up the seasoning as you're cooking and tasting it. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm gonna put that in there. And then I like spicy. My whole family likes spicy. So this is cayenne pepper. I'm not gonna measure it. I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit in. Let's see what else. Oh, this I bought on Amazon. It's expensive in the store, and you only get a tiny little jar of it. It's chipotle chili powder, so it's smoked jalapeno that they dry and then grind, so it has that smoky flavor, and it's spicier than regular chili powder, and I love this. So I'm gonna put, again, it's spicy, so you don't want to go too far with it. So there's that. That was probably 1/4 of it, maybe 1/2 teaspoon. And then I'll add more because I'm gonna put chilies in here, and I don't want it to get too spicy. Plus I have some jalapenos. Ooh, that chipotle chili powder is coming up and getting me. Okay, so the other thing that I'm gonna throw in is some to brown or to saute is some green onion. So I have 2 green onions. And then I also have, I'm gonna do some fresh cilantro. I love the flavor of fresh cilantro. But I'm gonna do that kind of at the end because I don't like it so overcooked. I like it a little bit fresher. So let me just chop up these onions. So when you're chopping, make sure you pay attention to where your fingers are and kind of curl them in a little bit. So you don't lose any digits. And don't talk to the camera when you're cutting either. All right, so there's about a 1/4 cup of onion that I'm gonna put in. And then you can like garnish it with some tops of green onion. That would be nice at the end. Just chop up some green onion, just the green part, and sprinkle that on the top. That would be pretty and tasty. Okay, so the last thing is garlic. I love garlic. So you can either use garlic powder, you can get the garlic, the fresh garlic, which is what I prefer, but I have, for some reason, I had like 3 of these in my fridge, so I need to use it up. So I'm gonna do about a teaspoon of garlic. Maybe a little bit more, because I do really like garlic. So I did about a teaspoon and a half of garlic. So you have to realize that when you're doing keto, it's super low carb, right? I do about 25 net carbs. All of these little things add up. So I'll give you an example. 1 teaspoon of this garlic has 1 gram of carb. Now I'm dividing it into a whole pot of soup, so it's not too bad. But if you are really a heavy user of garlic, it does count. I mean, if you use 2 teaspoons, that's almost 10% of your daily carbs is in garlic. So so that counts. And then I try to buy, this one is beef broth. I usually get an organic one, and it has 0 grams of carbs. This one has 1 gram of carbs, but it's for a whole cup. So I'm gonna use 4 cups, so that's gonna be 4 grams of carbs in the soup. Let's see, the other thing we're gonna add is green chilies. So I'm gonna use this whole can of green chilies, and it has 8 grams of carbs in the whole can. All right, and then I'm gonna use about a half a can of these tomatoes, and that has about, let's see, about 6 to 7 grams of carbs in the half a can of tomatoes. So as you see, it's starting to kind of add up, but this is probably 4 servings in this pot. So it's not bad. It's gonna probably calculate out to about 6 to 7 carbs per serving, and that's pretty good. It's really good. Also, you can extend it if you add some cauliflower, rice cauliflower. It's almost like rice, like you would have in a Mexican restaurant with your chili rellenos. So, but I'm not doing that. I'm just gonna do the soup, and what's also really good are those Quest tortilla chips. I don't know if you guys have ever tried those, but they are delicious. Okay, so here's the meat. It's pretty much ready for the rest of the ingredients. So I'm gonna do that. I just like to break it up some so it's not into too big of chunks, and get the spices all incorporated. Okay, so that was my son who made me sick. Okay, so here's the chilies. So these is just diced green chilies. I'm gonna put that in. And I used a 4-ounce can. And then I'm gonna put in a half a can. This is diced fire roasted tomatoes, so I'm gonna put in just a half a can of that. That's good. Okay.
That is a spicy meatball.
And let's see, the other thing that we're putting in is not the wine, chicken broth. So beef broth. So this is 4 cups. You can use any kind of broth you want. I just happen to have the beef broth.
Beef broth is best.
And I know it's ground turkey, but it doesn't matter. They can go together. So that's 2 and 3. Okay. So here we go. Do you see it? Okay, so what's gonna give it kind of that creamy look I'm gonna let this simmer for about 15 minutes, and I'm gonna let it kind of come to a light boil. and leave it, no cover on top of it. Let it sit here for about 15 minutes to get all the flavors together, cook down a little bit. And then I'm gonna add in a half a brick, which is 4 ounces of cream cheese. So I'll cut it up and I'll stir it in. And then I have 5 ounces of cheddar cheese. So I'm gonna shred that and then put that in. And so you come back to me in 15 minutes and we'll finish it, okay?